Shalom, everyone. Good Erev Shabbos. I wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom. I miss you all. Those who come to Shul, it's wonderful to see you. And those who are not coming to Shul, I want you to know I'm thinking about you. And as I said, miss you and hope to see you soon. I'd like to dedicate this morning's Devar Torah to the memory of Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, who passed away this past week. He was the previous chief rabbi of the United Kingdom and a man whose writings had a profound effect on me, on the way I think and on the way I teach. And I'll share some of his thoughts in this Devar Torah as well. So let's start off with a question. Have you ever asked yourself what it means to live an outstanding or uncommon life? Many of us have role models we look to for inspiration. We read biographies of great people that provide insight into their life and motivate us to emulate them as best as we can. While not fully a biography, this week's Parsha does offer us insight into Sarah's life and an appreciation of one way to live an extraordinary life. So as we know, Avraham survives Sarah by 38 years. And this week's Parsha records a eulogy of sorts for her. It's not a eulogy delivered by Avraham, although the Torah says he did deliver a eulogy, but we don't know what he said. This is rather the Torah itself offering us thoughts about Sarah. We learn that Avraham goes to great lengths to make sure that Yitzchak finds a wife. So central was Sarah to Avraham's covenantal mission that as Avraham grows old, he must make sure that Yitzchak, his heir, has a partner by his side. As Rabbi David Kimchi notes, the Radak, when explaining what it means that God had blessed Avraham with everything, v'Hashem beirach et Avraham bakol, he says, Lo chaser davar v'lo haya lo davar tzorich bolam ela lahasiya isha livno Yitzchak hara'ui lo. Avraham lacked nothing and did not need anything except for one thing, to see his son married. Avraham had everything save for the one thing he really wanted, a guarantee that his legacy would live on and that Sarah's legacy would live on. So what was so special about Sarah? The truth is that while she was alive, we don't hear much in terms about her partnership in the mission that Avraham had from God. Besides the record of her banishing Hagar and Yishmael, when she said, Ki lo yirash ben ha'ama hazot im beni Yitzchak, that the son of this slave shall not share an inheritance with my son, with Isaac, the Torah is really silent on her actions. That is, until she dies. Vayiyu chaye Sarah mea shana ve'esrim shana ve'sheva shanim shnei chaye Sarah. The span of Sarah's life came to 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. And the Midrashim pick up on the strange linguistic formulation. Instead of simply saying that Sarah lived 127 years, the Torah interrupts each span with the word shana or shanim, 100 years, and 20 years, and 7 years. Why is that? Rashi, quoting the Midrash, says, Shekol echad nidrash la'atzmo, that each one of these parts of her life need to be understood independently. And here's the continuation of one of those Midrashim. Bat kuf kibat chaf lanui, bat esrim kivat sheva lachet. When it came to Sarah, at 100, she was as beautiful as a woman of 20, and at 20, she was, as regards to sin, as innocent as a child of 7. Each time the word shana or shanim appears in the pasuk, it represents a time period or stage in Sarah's life. And based on this understanding, Rabbi Soloveitchik says that Sarah lived 3 lives: the life of a child, the life of a young woman, and the life of a mature and old woman. There is a difference, as we know, between biology and spirituality. In the world of biology, There is no way to retain elements of youth in a middle-aged person. Our bodies age, and there is nothing we can do about that. However, in the realm of spirit, Rabbi Soloveitchik notes that it is possible to see youth and ripe age, or even childhood and youth, as simultaneous experiences. When I think about this possibility, I think about Rabbi Sacks. Whenever I heard him speak or read his works, I perceived a palpable, almost childlike enthusiasm for the material. There are these wonderful videos of Rabbi Sacks singing with choirs, and the smile on his face was more representative of a kid than that of a mature chief rabbi. On a personal level, there were many times when I read an idea in one of Rabbi Sacks's books, and I felt a newborn excitement for the messages of Judaism. And yet, as chief rabbi, and after that, his tenure, he took on the role of mature statesman, grappling with some of the world's greatest and most challenging issues: anti-Semitism, civil society, morality, and leadership. Rabbi Sacks combined a youthful excitement and exuberance about Torah with a cultivated and cultural mastery of the issues of the day. This is what the Torah is telling us about Sarah. Rabbi Soloveitchik talks about Peter Pan, and he says, Peter Pan was a boy who refused to grow up and assume responsibility. However, Sarah at 20 was mature and fully developed, both intellectually and emotionally. She was energetic, bold, and daring. Yet as an adult, Sarah did not destroy the child. Maturity did not go away with childhood. She acted like a mature, wise, experienced, rich old woman, but in times of need and crisis, the young, bold, courageous girl came to the fore and took over. And Rabbi Sacks, as well as Rabbi Soloveitchik, extend this analysis to Avraham as well. Rabbi Sacks writes this: a while back, a British newspaper, The Times, interviewed a prominent member of the Jewish community. Let's call him Lord X, on his 92nd birthday. The interviewer said, most people, when they reach their 92nd birthday, start thinking about ways of slowing down. You seem to be speeding up. Why is that? Lord X's reply was this: when you get to 92, you start seeing the door begin to close. And I have so much to do before the door closes that the older I get, the harder I have to work. And this is what Rabbi Sacks sees in Avraham's journey. In this week's Parsha, Sarah, his companion, dies, and we see him mourn Sarah's death, but then he moves into action. He engages in an elaborate and tough negotiation to buy a plot of land, and then he moves on to challenge and to tell his servant to find a wife for his son Yitzchak. He does not slow down. He has the exuberance of youth even when he is a ripe old age. There are aspects of life that call for a childhood approach. In our enthusiasm for Torah study, we must illustrate a child's curiosity, thirsting for Torah knowledge, approaching each opportunity with excitement and joy. Sometimes events wear us down and turn us cynical, and we lose the energy we once had to work for the community or other causes. When that happens, it's time to drink from the fountain of youth and not allow experience to degenerate into cynicism. I guess that's what we could call living in multiple time zones, life cycle time zones. And that is the key to understanding Sarah's importance. Her life is a testimony to the capacity to live such a life. This approach to life is very important as a model for our children. Do they see us as locked into one mode of living? Wouldn't it be wonderful if our kids saw us seriously contemplating and discussing and acting on important issues of our community and the world with level-headedness and maturity, and at the same time exhibiting childlike excitement and exuberance about energizing our commitments? Our kids should see us engaged in serious, thoughtful Torah study, only attainable by adults, with the enthusiasm of a child. Shouldn't we teach our children not to allow our accumulation of frustrating experience to dampen our commitment to the important causes and to maintain the simple, untainted enthusiasm of youth? The best life combination is the experience of adulthood mixed with the strength and idealism of youth. That, my friends, is how to live an extraordinary life. May this be an extraordinary Shabbat, and may next week be an extraordinary week. Shabbat Shalom.